Get ready to feel the power.
The power.
I'm confusing everybody because I had us muted and I didn't realize it. I apologize.
How about I'll give him an old school one like I used to. Get ready to feel the power. Continue, Dr. Adam Roorda. Take it away.
This amazing flop of a show already. No, this is an amazing show coming up here. We do have a great sponsor here in Lift Token, as well as Cross-Trained MMA Fighter. Head on over to crosstrainedmmafighter.com. Pick up some amazing apparel from there, and also hit up lifttoken.io to get involved with all things physical NFT related and just green cryptocurrency centered around environmental social governance. But Colin, yeah, we do actually have a great show in store for us.
Yeah, I'm excited about it. 2 high-profile guests. We're really looking forward to speaking with them. We spoke with Curtis Blades, who's number 3 ranked heavyweight in the UFC a few years back, and we're excited to talk to him again tonight. He has that big fight signed with Tom Aspinall, and I think the winner of that fight really should most likely be next up for a title shot, or at least very, very close to a title shot. And so there's a lot of ramifications. It's such an exciting fight. Can't wait to talk to Curtis about that. I think that is sometime in early July. I think it may be International Fight Week, July 2nd, although I'm not sure, but we will definitely know once we speak with Curtis in about 40 minutes or so. And prior to that, we will have the BJJ world champion, Danielle Kelly. She is signed with 1 championship and did have 1 matchup so far, and I believe that was the matchup. Was that the matchup with? No, it wasn't the matchup with Carla Esparza. She actually did have a grappling match with Carla Esparza, although I don't think that was with 1. It couldn't have been with 1 championship. Carla wouldn't be allowed by UFC to compete there, but she did have that match that ended up with a win because Carla did get cut, and then she did go, I think, against Mei Yamaguchi, or I think that's who it was, in her first match in 1 championship grappling, although she is also, I believe, committed to doing some MMA there and has been training a lot lately. Can't wait to talk to her for the very first time here on the MMA Power Hour, get her thoughts on a whole bunch of stuff.
Absolutely. A lot of great things coming at us with this show. So, Colin, what are your thoughts on what happened over the weekend? I actually, out of all my parlay, I only got one of them wrong, and I'm actually kind of surprised. But hey,
yeah, that was Rose, I think, right?
No. I actually, yeah.
Yeah. You know, I think a lot of us believed in Gaethje, and I think a lot of us felt that
No, it wasn't Gaethje.
No, you did have Gaethje. You did.
Yeah, I did. I was choosing the right way there.
Oliveira, the champ.
Yeah. And
which one did you get wrong that you were
Oh,
wrong?
shit. No, I got 2 wrong.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Yeah, no, I went for Gaethje and then Ferguson. I was my
yeah, that's right. You did go a long shot for Ferguson.
I didn't get 2 wrong. I wasn't going to choose between Gaethje and Oliveira, so I only did get 1 wrong.
Right, exactly. Interesting fights. You know what I've noticed? This could actually be even a script for a movie. I guess I'm giving it away if anyone's watching it. But you know what Charles Oliveira does in almost every fight in the last few years, Adam? He is a super high level jiu-jitsu guy, right?
Right.
So guys will hurt him in a fight or knock him down, but not want to go to the ground with him.
Right.
Because he does recover pretty quick and his guard is good. His jiu-jitsu off his back is really good, right? So guys will hurt Oliveira and kind of leave him on the ground to recover. And so what you see, I can totally see this being really a filmish moment. What you see when that happens is he's on the ground, he's bloodied, and he kind of lays there squeezing his eyes, and then literally it's like you can see the mechanism in his head going, and all of a sudden it switches to Terminator mode. And then he opens his eyes like that, gets up, and freaking ends the other guy. It's really weird.
I know.
It's like this crazy phenomenon.
It's weird, and here I am. Another weird thing is I shaved.
There we go. Yes, and you look
by the end of the
sharp.
show. I will have a full beard.
I love it. I know he said his hair grows very, very quick on his face and everywhere else at his head. So he may have a full beard by the end of the show. But clean cut, Dr. Adam Roorda, you look great. But yeah, so Oliveira, man, I am 100% believer now, man. You're gonna have to kill this guy. But I mean, the interesting thing is this: if you put him against someone like Islam Makhachev or even Beneil Dariush, and they end up going to the ground with him, because neither of those two guys would be afraid to go to the ground with Oliveira.
Right.
And so, but both those guys can punch too. And so if one of them hurt Oliveira with a strike, they wouldn't let him lay on the ground and recover and try to wave him back up. They would get on top of him and start raining down punches, because they would not be afraid of his jiu-jitsu. And that's why I think both of those guys have a good chance against Oliveira. And I think Oliveira should be facing one of them next. I really think it should be Beneil. Beneil has got wins over higher ranked opponents than Islam. Beneil has been in the UFC much longer than Islam. Has overall fought some better guys. Islam is a killer. I know Islam's on a 9-fight win streak and has only 1 loss, and his record overall may be better percentage-wise than Beneil, but it's because he's had less fights. I honestly feel like this. I just don't, I know Habib disagrees with me strongly here, but Habib is Islam's mentor and good friend, that Islam should be next, but I don't think he should. I think we either have to see Islam Beneil, as was originally scheduled a few months ago before Beneil had to pull out with an injury, or if they're not going to do that, then bring Beneil up.
Right.
So, but we will see. Dana is still thinking about that. And Chandler is barking, but you know what I mean? I hate to say it, all respect for Chandler, but Chandler, stop barking for a minute. You lost to Gaethje and you lost to Oliveira, and Beneil and Islam did not lose to either guy, and Beneil and Islam haven't lost in years. So I know you're awesome, Chandler. I like you, but you got to stop barking for a second, because you're not next, and you're probably not going to be next for Beneil and Islam unless they call one of them right up. Then you know what? I guess I could see it.
Right. I could see that then.
But not with Oliveira, with whoever gets picked out of Beneil and Islam. And I think either fight would be a good fight against Chandler for sure.
Right.
But anyway, that was interesting. The co-main event, I'm going to ask our guests what their thoughts were on that. Because I know that Danielle Kelly is a jiu-jitsu, high-level jiu-jitsu practitioner. She did compete against Carla Esparza, and she was supposed to compete against Rose Namajunas, but Rose was replaced, interestingly enough, a couple months ago in a grappling match by Carla Esparza with Danielle Kelly. I'm also going to ask, maybe talk to Curtis a little bit, because Curtis is over there at Elevation Fight Team, and I know Rose is there frequently as well as Justin Gaethje. But so we're going to get some thoughts and opinions on that. And since we still have, well, actually, what time is it now?
About 4 minutes.
About 4 minutes. You wanna look quickly or remind me who the third fight on that card was? No, we know it was Chandler against Ferguson.
I was just gonna say
Ferguson was looking good, man. For a minute, he was looking like the old Tony Ferguson. Maybe even 2 or 3 minutes. And then, man, that teep kick, man, the impact of that. That's a kick that I think we'll start to see more now. Kudos to Michael Chandler. Machida did it to Randy Couture. Anderson Silva did it. I threw it and successfully against Vitor Belfort. You don't see it a lot, but it's super effective, partly because you don't really expect to see it a lot, because you kind of have to be squared up a little bit to throw that. And with everyone nowadays having some good wrestling, no one wants to be kind of quite squared up like that. But I think you will start seeing it more. I trained some Muay Thai, and I like that front teep kick a lot, and it can be devastating, as we just saw in that fight. And so Tony Ferguson, yeah. What's interesting is
all those photos that came out.
Yeah, they look crazy. Oh, you also see it, yeah, Frankie Edgar.
All the freeze frames.
Yeah, because Frankie Edgar got caught by Chito Vera about 8 months ago with that same thing. And yeah, it's devastating. What's interesting is that Charles Oliveira, the champ, threw out a tweet, I think, or I forget which social media, maybe a tweet, about, all respect for Tony Ferguson. It's that, we are 2 of the OGs, and that he said, maybe you could, come over to Brazil and train with me, again. And Ferguson, I think, I kind of threw out a weird response. He said something like, good work, bro. Yeah, just try not to get knocked down, in every fight, I'll be seeing you soon. Right? And so, I mean, I guess in a way what Ferguson was kind of saying, I mean, I think what Oliveira was saying was, man, I always liked you. When they fought, Oliveira won, but they have similarities. They're both a taller, longer body type with jiu-jitsu, tough, unorthodox guy, with Tony Ferguson being, I think, 3 or 4 years older and been in the UFC longer. So I think Oliveira was really being genuine. He was like kind of saying, "Hey Tony, I like you. You're kind of like,
right.
Yeah,
I mean, you can only imagine.
Yeah, and but in all honesty, Adam, even if Tony Ferguson could go with Charles Oliveira and train with him, I just don't think at this point in Tony Ferguson's life, Oliveira can telepathically send his mindset, his chin, his youth.
I mean, poor Tony. I don't necessarily think he should be fighting much longer. He's gone through enough damage clearly, and it's more on the psychological side, and people are starting to forget about it. It's not front page news, right?
Yeah,
but he's not necessarily. He's more crazy than he should be. I'll put it that way.
He's a brave dude. He loves to fight. He even when he's knocked out, he recovers and but a lot of concussions. And I mean, the tough thing is that I think, and I don't want to misspeak on this, but when Tony first started, I think he's 38, 39 now, 38, 39. When he first started in MMA, I think about 17 years ago, it was kind of just morphing into the sport it is today, with the fighters having the skill sets that they have today. And kind of just to make it even more basic really quick, when the sport started in this country 30 years ago, if you had one skill set, that's what everyone pretty much had. And then you would get someone that had some wrestling that would learn some jiu-jitsu or learn a little bit of striking, but they were really good at one and they kind of mediocre at the other. Then you had people that had two skill sets where they were good at, maybe great at one, and were kind of mediocre or non-existent in the third skill set. Then you get fighters that are really actually good at all three skill sets. And I think Tony was really good with his skill set, beating a lot of people that had kind of a skill set of last decade, the 20 teens. And I think now when you've got guys that their wrestling is better than his, their striking is better than his, and they can either stay off the ground.
I mean, it's just a totally different game. Yeah, 100%.
Or they can deal with his jiu-jitsu. It makes it really tough.
The sport has refined itself so much. Even
really
in the last few years, I've watched it become so refined. Even from a few years ago, it's insane looking at all these athletes.
It's evolved.
That are just,
it really has evolved.
I mean, the evolution, it's on a curve.
Without a doubt.
Only going to get more insane from here. So
without a doubt.
Let's see if it stays as entertaining, because I think a lot of, especially in the UFC, a lot of the entertainment value is actually coming from outside of the cage, and I don't know. We'll see if it stays as entertaining or if it becomes more of a purist sport.
Right. Either way, it could be good.
Yeah, it could be good either way. I mean,
I don't want
to see it go down the road of professional wrestling, because professional wrestling is already
its own
a thing.
Right. Right.
And all respect to it, I love it.
Yeah, but keep in mind our next guest. I don't want to keep her waiting.
100%. We have a couple people saying hi. Welcome to the show, Ryan. We love the guests here. It's first time. Love it. Everybody make sure to hit up our social media. It's at MMA Power Hour. And if you're on our social media, head on over to the Hannibal TV on YouTube as well as on Facebook. And let's give our first guest a call.
Let's do it.
See if we can get that Jen Pulver style.
You want this Pulver? It's hard to do it. My one championship, right? There's a Jen Pulver Skype dance.
There she is.
Hello, Danielle. Can you hear me?
Hi.
Hi, awesome. Good. You're good. As long as you can see yourself, you're good. We're live. I'm going to give you an intro and then we'll be off and rolling.
I can't see you.
Right. I understand that. We can't make that happen, unfortunately, right now. But as long as you can stay centered, as you would in the square there, then you're good to go. And we can make sure you see the show. It looks great afterward.
Okay.
Awesome. So I'm going to give you a proper introduction. We always do that kind of a formal thing, make it old school, almost like the major TV shows here. Ladies and gentlemen, so excited to have this next guest on the show for the first time. She joins a group of tremendously high-level female combat sports champions and top contenders. She is a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu champion, signed with one championship. So happy for the first time to speak with Danielle Kelly. Welcome to the show, Danielle.
Hi, thank you for having me.
My pleasure. And I took out my one championship mug I got right here in honor of you being a one championship athlete. They did open workouts here about 3 years ago, and I was there. We got to see Mighty Mouse Demetrius Johnson do some training, and several other people. And so great promotion there. And I know you've been signed with them for what, about 6 months now?
Actually, it feels for a while. I've been signed with them since beginning of February.
Okay.
Just about.
Very cool. And I know you respect them over there. Chatri is great. And with PR, Sammy is awesome there. I know before that was Tammy, and really, really good people. And so they are based over in Singapore. And you had your first competition. Was it against Mei Yamaguchi? Was that it? Or am I mispronouncing that?
Yes, Mei Yamaguchi.
Excellent. And was that over in Singapore, or where was that?
Yes, recently they're all in Singapore for the matches.
Cool. Was that the first time you had been there, or were you there when you were signed by One Championship, or was that online? And
so that was like my first ever longest flight, first time in Singapore, and maybe my second time outside the U.S. I mean, I was in Mexico, but I don't like consider that as anything.
Right.
But Singapore was like 19 hours away, so it was my first time there.
So going into and you had probably never gone to Asia anywhere or Europe with any long flight like that, I think, right?
I'm sorry?
You had never gone anywhere else on a long plane flight, you said, right?
Oh, no, just Singapore.
So how did that turn out as opposed to what you were expected? I know you're young. I think you're 26 or 27 now?
26.
26, yeah. So you're really young, so I'm sure you're not worried about your body hurting too much, although I know as an athlete with all the training you do, that was possible. How did the long plane flight go compared to what you were expecting and hoping for?
Honestly, the flight wasn't as bad as I thought. I feel like on the way back, it was kind of like less. It was 15 hours, if I remember correctly. Mm-hmm. On the way there, it was 19 hours. And when I got there, it was like maybe 7 a.m. in the morning. So I just took like a quick nap. My body like adjusted it after like a day. So like the first day was kind of hard, but after that I adjusted it pretty well. So I think when I got home is when it kind of like really kicked me, because I went to training right away when I got back.
Gotcha, for sure. How soon after you got there did you have your grappling match with Mei?
So I know they're 12 hours ahead. So when I got there, we left Sunday, and technically I arrived in Singapore on a Tuesday morning. So then I competed Saturday noon. So I had like about 4 or 5 days in prep.
And was that okay as far as like the surroundings being different, the food, the water? Was that a little bit challenging? Was there kind of differences in what you expected would go on with your weight, or how did that all work out? Was that as easy as you expected, or was that challenging?
If I had to be really honest, it was pretty easy. I do know now, since after we left, it was like 2 days after they lifted the COVID bans. I think you just had to be vaccinated. But we couldn't like really leave the hotel till after match day. So I mean, it kind of helped me not to be a pig or anything, trying different foods. But I mean, it kind of like helped me because I was kind of like a little bit like 4 or 5 pounds over. But I don't like gaining that much weight. And then once it was like weigh-ins, I was like 112, and it was like a 115 match. So the weight just kind of like shut it off on me.
Very cool. And so you walk around like what, between 115 and 120 or something?
I fluctuate between 110 to 115, and then my really fat days I'm like almost 120, but that's rare. Okay,
so you're not that big for a straw weight here or an atom weight there, so to speak, 115 limit. But do they have any 105 class over there? And if they do, would you think about competing in that?
Yes, I believe that's kind of what they do. but yeah, I would make the 105 jump for sure.
Cool. And then I guess the way they would do it is if it's 105, then you would have to make that, and then you would be allowed to go back up to no more than 115, which would be fine for you, right?
Yes. I believe that's how they do it right now.
Yeah.
I believe draw weight is 115 to 125. I could be wrong.
Yeah, you know what? I think you're right. So it would be the atomweight division, even though you're allowed to rehydrate to 115.
We do like hydration tests, so
Yeah.
I think it's 105 to 115. So yeah, I like how they do it because the girls are actually like my size.
Exactly, because you've been kind of fighting like the David and Goliath, except for women. You've been fighting these girls that were anywhere from 10 to 20 or more pounds heavier than you, you know, and so that does, you know, make it tougher and even in grappling. But it just seems like your skills are so good that you can deal with that. But I think that when it comes to like striking being involved and punching and kicks and wrestling, that's where it might be a little bit more unfair and difficult if you had to compete with girls that on the day of the fight were like 125 or, you know, something like that. So so I would imagine that you're probably wanting to compete where you can make 105 and hydrate no more than to 115 for MMA. Would I be right on that?
We're correct, yes.
Very cool. Okay. So you've had some amazing matches. Before May, you fought Carla, or was that the reverse order?
Carla Esparza.
Right. And Carla was first and then May, right?
Yes.
Okay. And yeah, that Carla fight was so anticipated. Funny enough, it was supposed to be Rose Namajunas, and then you got Carla, and then they actually set both of them to fight. So that was an interesting matchup. You know, I'm so glad I'm talking to you because I remember watching that matchup, and it was some modified rules. And I was talking to a guest we had before, Mason Fowler. Have you heard of him?
Yes.
Yeah. And I asked his opinion real quick. So it's not like him and I are like good buddies or anything, but I've interviewed him a few times. And once just in a blue moon, I'll reach out to someone, and he's really a cool guy. Always gets back to me. And so I said, man, this matchup here tonight, you have Danielle against Carla, you have Craig Jones against I think it was Sean. What the heck was I can't believe I forget.
Sean Brady.
Brady, right? And I said, but in these rules, they're modified rules, kind of protecting the UFC fighters from leg locks. And he said he thought it was only just heel hooks that were not allowed, but I thought they were not allowing any leg locks, right?
No leg locks, no lower body attacks.
Okay, that's what I thought. And I asked his opinion. I said, I mean, this is kind of a weird competition then, because it's almost like keeping the MMA fighters out of danger and taking some of the weapons away from the jiu-jitsu fighters. So I guess going into that fight, you knew that, and the jiu-jitsu fighters knew that. Did that kind of like sour you at all about that? Were you like, damn, I'm going into this sucky modified rules thing where I can't even try a leg lock, or could you still see the fun in the competition of that?
I was a little salty at first, but you know, I feel like if your jiu-jitsu is so limited to like those rules, then you have shitty jiu-jitsu. Not to like be mean or anything, but I feel like it would definitely. I feel like it not just like the leg lock submissions itself, but you can also use leg lock attacks to open up other things. Like for example, if I pulled guard, went for a leg attack, she defended. Usually they give up their back. It would have given me more openings because I wanted to actually try to take her back at least, or do like something else other than leg locks. And plus I'm a smaller person, so that's also like another thing. Like I'm not competing against girls who are above my weight class anymore just because of the incident, and she was like super heavy. But not even that, I feel like with one championship too, everything with me and Meg Yamaguchi match, everything was all said and done. Like I could go for heel hooks, she could do the same. So, you know, I think the competition was much better. And, you know, they're in the UFC, there's people doing leg locks in the UFC, so I didn't understand the difference. But, you know, she injured herself after slamming me. So, you know, I get the last laugh.
Absolutely. Very true. I have. I in the past I've had some good friends from Pennsylvania. I know you're from Philly. I had some friends from Pittsburgh, and they're always saying salty. They're saying, "Don't get salty." So I love that you said that. That's very Pennsylvania.
Yeah. I'm from Philly.
Yeah, I love it. And but yeah, so that definitely made it for, kind of different. Now, I don't know whether it was Mason Fowler or who I was talking to about this, but no, I don't think it was. I think I was talking to one of Sean Brady's teammates. Yeah, I think it was Pat Sabatini. And
Pat's really cool.
Yeah, he's a great guy. Yeah, we interviewed him a while back. He's an amazing fighter too, isn't he? And I asked him about that fight, and he said, I mean, if you look at it, he said Brady was still doing really well. And he said it's not that...
I feel like that match could have gone either way, but, I mean, I give Craig Jones some credit too, but the match, if I remember correctly, I think Jones wasn't really attacking much, and Brady was kind of just staying there.
Right.
But I mean, it's good. Both sides, it's good. Whoops.
Without a doubt.
Trying to stop.
Right.
But both sides, they're playing technically smart. It's just, I don't know, maybe like an overtime round. So just to kind of see. But I mean, the results are what they are.
Right. Exactly.
So it's kind of cool to see like a fighter. So it's not, because there's always like excuses like, oh, jiu-jitsu guy will be a UFC fighter or a fighter in general. And then it's kind of like, no, that's not what happened. So now we can say that, legit fighters have beaten legit grapplers. So hopefully I can beat Carla, which I kind of did, but.
Yeah, absolutely. Because now Carla is the champion. Did you watch that fight Saturday? I would imagine yes, right?
Yes.
So I really want your opinion, because I think it's unique, because you haven't started your MMA career, but you are on the cusp of starting it very soon. And you did compete with Carla. You were going to compete against Rose. And funny enough, in jiu-jitsu, because there is no striking, you'll see some more matches that look a little bit like Carla and Rose did on Saturday, although I think there might be some warnings for stalling if that were a jiu-jitsu match. But answer that question, if there would have been some warnings from the referee if that was a jiu-jitsu match, and then let me know your overall thoughts from your perspective on whether that was that bad a match, and who was responsible more of the two women for not going for it, would you say?
So the first thing, I like how One Championship does the stalling cards, because that actually happened with my match. I was trying to gauge with May, and the whole time she kind of just was defending. So she was kind of defending the whole time, and then I think like after the stalling card, things started to pick up. What do I think about Carla and Rose match? To be honest, it's easier to say like outside just watching. Many people say it's boring. Many people are gonna put down Rose or Carla for not doing much. I should give Carla a lot of credit, because the first 2 rounds, I felt like she was initiating the movement, because I feel like, Rose is a striker, so I think she's just trying to feel out Carla. But it's one of those mental things. They fought before, like 6 or 7 years ago, and Carla just kept taking Rose down. So I think it was a mental thing with Rose. And I think as later rounds went on, like Rose ended up taking down Carla, which was surprising. And Rose just, shut off everything that Carla was giving her. Again, like it's easy to say it was a boring match, but you just don't really know like once you're in there. I think they're just trying to feel each other out as a championship round. I also think with Rose's corner, and this is the problem with a lot of people in MMA world as well as jiu-jitsu, is having yes people in your corner. And I feel like, Pat Barry was kind of like telling her things that she wanted to hear when really she was kind of losing. So, I feel like he should have kind of pushed her to say, hey, like you need to pick up this round, like you're kind of losing. Was initiating everything. So I think those are my thoughts. But overall, I think they should have a third trilogy match.
Absolutely makes sense, the rubber match. One thing that I think is unusual about that fight, and it is what it is. I have all respect for fighters. I've been a martial artist all my life. I'm not a high level jiu-jitsu guy, but purple belt, hopefully one day. I could get brown, although I'm getting old and my body's breaking down. But I have, yeah, I know. I should stay with it, right? Is that what you're saying?
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. What did you say? I stay with it?
No, I'm saying same. My body is breaking down.
I hear you.
Year by year.
I hear you. I know it is a tough sport. It is really, and I know you're doing it much higher level and harder training than me. So all respect to you. So my thought is, I believe Rose is a brown belt or a black belt. Do you know?
I know she got promoted, or I think she's still a brown belt. I know she got a stripe, so she's probably like one level away from getting a black belt.
Okay, so my thought kind of was, she has a good guard game. She's a lot longer than Carla. She's confident in her jiu-jitsu. I kind of thought that, like, for some reason she fought like she just didn't want to be on her back with Carla, and when she was on her back, she wasn't throwing up like any submissions, and that was one thing that I think kind of surprised a lot of people. I think a lot of people thought that because she wasn't going to be worried on her back, she was going to be really busy. She was going to be throwing all kinds of stuff because she was not going to be worried about being on her back, kind of like a Charles Oliveira, or, some people that have great takedown defense, like, Joanna Jędrzejczyk. They're just, and so but it looked like it was the opposite. It looked like her output was low from the beginning. It looks like she didn't want to be on her back. And I think a lot of people were kind of perplexed. I mean, you've been on the ground with Carla. She's heavy, but then she was a lot heavier than she would have been than Rose. I think her and Rose are probably similar weight. Is there any reason why you think, I think you kind of mentioned it a little bit, maybe because of the last fight, but the last fight, Rose is only 22 years old. It was 8 years ago. Do you think something went wrong with just her confidence? And just, what do you think?
I wouldn't say confidence, but when I was, competing against Carla, the moment I felt her inside my guard, her arms felt like bricks, and I couldn't move her arm across my guard. So that's like another thing. Like, I'm not competing like that high of a weight class anymore. It's just hard to get her to like open up because, she has like a wrestling background and her base was so strong. So I felt like, Rose just wanted to avoid staying on her back because Carla would just follow the hips and kind of like for MMA, ground and pound from the guard, or just square up with the hips to keep her from making space to do submissions or sweeps.
Makes sense.
But yeah, Carla, her strength was unbelievable. She was much stronger than some of the guys I trained with.
Say that again?
She felt like more stronger than the guys that I've trained with.
Oh, wow.
Gym.
Wow. Yeah,
some of them.
Yeah, that long time wrestling and just determined. Not only that, but she's in her mid-30s, and I think a lot of fighters, and I know athletes in general, can get some more of the strength. Like, I know you're still young at 26, but Yeah,
I keep forgetting that she's 34 right now.
33, 34, I think. 30, yeah.
Yeah.
And then Rose is 20 and 29, I think. Yeah, so in a way, Carla almost had like that old lady strength on her. You know what I mean? Right? Where she just kind of big sistered her a little bit.
It's true, but...
Yep. And so, but yeah, it was interesting. But you know what? In the end, I think it could have gone either way. Did you agree, or did you feel it was a rip-off decision?
I'll be honest, I wanted Rose to win, but I felt like Carla initiated more things, so I think the decision was right. But I believe when the trilogy comes, I think Rose always comes back.
Yeah, makes sense. Do you think Rose deserves the rematch off that, or it should be someone like Weili Zhang or Joanna Jędrzejczyk or even Jessica Andrade?
I think Rose deserves a rematch, because considering Rose defeated Weili and Joanna twice, so I think she deserves a rematch right away.
Makes sense. Would you ever consider the Rose Namajunas haircut?
I joke about it, but I don't think I would ever go with it.
Yeah, that would be a stark difference for you. I mean, she had the kind of long hair, and maybe as long as yours, but it looked like it wasn't as really like thick and nice as your hair, so it would be like a really different look. for you.
Yeah, I feel like I would look like a boy, or I
Yeah.
just look younger.
Yeah, right. Too much. So yeah, we probably won't be seeing that. But all right, let's talk a little bit about MMA. You've been doing jiu-jitsu for a while. In fact, let me backtrack for a little bit more jiu-jitsu than MMA. So you got into Brazilian jiu-jitsu at what age? Like a teen or early 20s or what?
10 to 11 years old. I was in
Wow.
6th grade.
What made you get into that? Who got you into BJJ then?
Well, I was getting bullied a lot, and my mom and dad, basically found me a place, and my mom took me to the gym, and I didn't know what jiu-jitsu was because I wanted to learn how to like strike because I was like, oh, I'm getting bullied at school. So the old coach that I was with when I started introduced me to jiu-jitsu, and was basically like, if someone takes you down, you'll learn how to defend yourself, all that spiel. And I did my first jiu-jitsu competition like 4 months after, did really well, first place, took third in expert division, and I just fell in love with it.
Awesome. Was there any interruption at all at any point in your training, like when you were 13 or 15 or 19 or 20? Was there any time where you walked away for a couple of years or no?
I mean, that's a little personal, but yeah, I had like 1 year off.
No problem. Sorry, I didn't mean to tap into. I won't ask the reason why. But okay, so 1 year off though, but that still means that, like, for the most part, except for that 1 year, you have been doing this for like 16 years, and that probably explains why you're so good. You just learned it at a time where you're so young and your mind is so open. And your body also is like able to learn it really well. Like, a lot of people don't know, and I can say from being an older guy, is like the younger you are, the easier you can learn things that are physical, and especially Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu involves so much dynamic movement with your hips and your legs and your back. And even at your age, you can still do everything, but you could get maybe some aches and pains if you go too crazy. But when you're like 10, 11, 12, 13, it's almost like nothing hurts you. You don't even have to warm up really. You just go in there and do it. And so it's really a good time, I think, where you learned all that movement. And now it's just kind of like natural for you. Did you see yourself competing as you became an adult when you were a kid? Did you know this was a passion you were going to stick with, or no?
To be honest, not really. I was really well known in like the Northeast area, the local scene. So I had kind of like a name here, and then I felt like jiu-jitsu started to become popular more once I started doing like big tournaments, the pro shows, singles, super fights. I never thought I would be like this far. And, I'm teaching all over the world right now. I'm just grateful for every single thing. And, there's a lot of ups and downs, trial and error, but it was worth it where I'm at right now.
Very cool. Now, probably most of the time you're traveling in circles with people that are in jiu-jitsu or fighting, I'm sure, because obviously when you train, you're there. A lot of people in a combat sport tend to hang out with people from there. So probably for the most part, people know who you are. But if you're ever in a situation where you're somewhere else, or you're visiting, hanging out with your parents or siblings, do you ever meet people that don't know who you are and don't know jiu-jitsu? And if you do, are they ever surprised? Because you're kind of like a small, petite, good-looking woman. And I think probably some people would be pretty shocked when they find out that you're a combat athlete professional. And what kind of reaction do you get? And are people really shocked?
Yeah, I actually get like pretty surprised reactions. But also, like, if I'm out with my friends and my friends are trying to be funny, like, oh yeah, she does fighting, I kind of like play it off dumb, like, yeah, I did karate for a little bit, because I just don't want to get into the conversations where like guys ask me like, oh, like, do you think you beat me up, blah blah.
Right.
So I just want to avoid those interactions.
That makes sense.
I don't like too much attention on myself, but yeah, I get a lot of surprises. Even like older women, old ladies are like, oh, you're too pretty, you're too small to get beat up or to train. My grandma didn't like me doing this stuff, so.
Makes sense. Makes sense. Now, have you ever had a situation where like girls start shoving you at a party or a bar or anything? And if so, what would you do in that situation?
I never had that happen, but there was one incident where a girl kind of shoved my friend, and I kind of like pushed that girl back, and I don't know, she didn't really do anything. So I only had that one incident, but I was also like 21. You know, I was just being stupid.
Right.
What would I do? I mean, I don't know. I'd probably fight them back. Like, why are you pushing me?
Nice. Nice. Makes sense.
I don't know. I try to avoid any conflict at all times. You know, I like doing violence like on the mats, but you know, outside world, I'm kind of a nerd. So, you know, I just avoid that stuff every inch I can. But when it comes to my friends, I become very protective.
Makes sense, and that's a good thing. Do you feel like you're destined to like be in relationships with other people that are in jiu-jitsu, or would you rather not, or would it not matter?
Next question.
You got it. No problem. No problem. And I never usually ask that, but I just figure some people say I'd rather be with someone who doesn't know my sport or who doesn't train. Other people say I gotta be with someone that trains.
I can comment. It's probably like less drama because you would like not know the same people, but then again, I feel like with my situation, like you know the same people, you know, you can do more activities, you feel more closer with that person. So I think he has best of both worlds, to be honest.
It makes sense, without a doubt. You know, something you can relate to, and that's important. So MMA. So the difference is striking, and then I guess other than that, there is some wrestling certainly in jiu-jitsu, especially you start out on the feet. I know sometimes in jiu-jitsu class, people are starting on their knees, but in actual tournaments, you start on your feet, and so there is wrestling there. So the big difference in MMA would be striking, and I think some jiu-jitsu players just don't want to be involved in striking. Like some just don't want to get the concussions, or they don't want to have scar tissue or get things busted up. I mean, as a woman, is that a fear that you would have, or do you feel like somehow your goal would be quick enough and to be dominant enough that that wouldn't happen to you, or is that even realistic to hope for that?
Are you asking me if I'm afraid to get scar tissue or injured?
I mean, is it a thought of getting, you know, into a lot of striking wars that you wouldn't want, and you get your nose broken, and then you get, you know, just really busted up, and you know, you're not happy with that? I mean, I think that, you know, some jiu-jitsu competitors, men and women, are really feeling like, you know what, I just don't want to get punched in the face or kicked in the face or anything like that.
Honestly, the first like few times of me getting punched in the face, I didn't like it, but then you kind of learn to roll with the punches, I guess that's the saying. And I focused a lot on my defense for both striking and jiu-jitsu especially, so I felt like that helped me get more confident. But you know, I'm not really too worried, and plus I feel like very rarely the girls in my division are heavy hitters. It's more you know, I mean, you have to watch out for the kicks, obviously, but I feel like our division, we're less likely to get, you know, cut up than rather the guys and the bigger women. So I think the weight comes into play as well.
Absolutely. That definitely is true. So there are other competitors that kind of came from jiu-jitsu. I know in one, you have Michelle Nicolini, and some other people came from jiu-jitsu. In the UFC, you have Mackenzie Dern. I know she's not in your organization, but because people know of her, you know, has she been someone that you kind of looked at as someone that would be kind of a good example of a style you might have in MMA?
For sure. I've actually been following her and Gina Carano and Ronda Rousey. I've been following Mackenzie when she was still a teenager competing in jiu-jitsu tournaments. So I always liked her style. And how she brought her jiu-jitsu into MMA was pretty unique. Because, you know, she just knows how to use her jiu-jitsu with her striking. And her striking's gotten better progressively.
Absolutely. She's got some power, and it really makes a difference because 20 years ago, just a pure jiu-jitsu player could get in there and win. And over the last like 10 years, it's not really done. In the last 5 years especially, everyone's got something. You got to get at least like good at one of the other two skill sets, and ideal would be if you could be good at both of the other skill sets. If you had to guess which skill set would be easier for you to get really good at between wrestling and striking, what would you say?
I would say striking.
Nice. And that's cool, because the wrestling, a lot of people will say, kind of relates to the grappling, so you can kind of conceptualize it more, and you already do a little bit. And so a lot of jiu-jitsu people will kind of try for the wrestling, but the striking works for you. Is that because you were, striking at all? I know that we had Rashad Evans on the other day, the former champion and UFC Hall of Famer, and he grew up in New York. He had a punching bag in his basement. I know I'm from Michigan. A lot of us did in Philly. Did you guys have that, or was it only girls in your family, or did you grow up hitting a punching bag and striking?
My dad did. He was a boxer. We always had like a little, punching bag because, we're from Philly, and if you watch Rocky, I think it's like a you have to have kind of thing. But yeah, I think that's what kind of like got me into it way more. I just wish I had gotten into box or any kind of striking at the same time as I did jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, totally understandable. But I tell you, the fact that you got really good at jiu-jitsu and it's not too late for you to get your striking. So you are practicing, you're practicing what, at Evolve over in Singapore, or are you somewhere else as well?
I will train there when I visit there. They're really great. I train at MK Muay Thai. I've been with them for about almost 3 years now. I've been training with them even like a little before the lockdown. I even trained in Philly somewhat, but then I stopped going to them just with like other issues. But well, not issues, but I kind of like moved. So I guess like I have like 3 or 4 years under my belt, but I haven't competed in MMA obviously yet.
Gotcha. Were there any MMA fighters, either men or women, that you looked up to growing up?
When I started watching MMA, I liked watching Gina Carano. I think she was a positive role model. So was Ronda Rousey in a way, like her fighting skills at the time, but her attitude, I wouldn't say she was like the best role model, but I really looked up to her technique.
Absolutely. And today, any of the women impress you? I know you got to feel Carla in person and see her strength and her wrestling. And any people you like that are competing that people have heard of, women or men?
Kind of weird because I feel like I'm in a position right now where I want to go against the girls, especially in my weight class. I want to go against them, especially the known ones. So not really, but if I had to choose, I would say, I really like how Valentina carries herself, and she's not only that she's a dominant fighter, she's been super dominant, undefeated for a couple years now. I just like how she carries herself and with respect. I really look up to that because I feel like a lot of people take like the easy way out. So I would say probably her if I had to choose.
Absolutely, and she is an amazing fighter. Back on Mackenzie, you think Mackenzie can make it to where she's in talks for a title shot? It was a great win over Tisha Torres, really close, razor thin. I had Tisha on the show before that, and she's super nice. I never had a chance to talk to Mackenzie, but that was a really close win. But do you think Mackenzie can get one more win and can get in title talks?
I think Marina Rodriguez deserves the next title shot, if I have to be honest. But I think Mackenzie probably needs maybe like 2 more fights. I know she lost to Marina. Even that fight was super close. But, I think if she plays the striking rules pretty well, or gets her striking points, I guess they call it, much better, then I think she'll have a greater chance for sure.
Very cool. Who are some of the female fighters that won that you like? And I guess pretty much most that people have heard of are going to be too heavy, like Angela Lee. You probably wouldn't be competing with, or maybe down the line, or because that's one.
I know Angela Lee is an atomweight champion.
I'm sorry, she is?
Yes. So she's in my weight class.
Oh, so she would be someone you could compete with. Okay, very interesting. Let me ask you this. This is not going to happen for sure. But what if just for the heck of it, like a month from now, they go, okay, let's get your first MMA fight against Angela Lee? That would probably be a no on your behalf. Or are you that crazy? I don't mean to say crazy, but
I'm pretty crazy. I mean, I already had competed at one, like my first time a few months ago, so I think I want to get my feet wet again for a grappling match. I mean, who knows? Maybe it'll happen, but I wouldn't say no. But then again, I want to do grappling for now.
makes sense. And
I won't say no to a grappling match.
there we go. Yeah, I wouldn't mind that because she's got some skills, you know. But it would definitely have to be not modified. They couldn't keep leg locks away from you, right?
No, it's not modified. Yeah.
No.
So.
Nice. Did you watch the main event? I'm sure you did if you watched the Rose and Carlo fight. What did you think of Charles Oliveira, man? That guy's like a Terminator, isn't he? But he gets hurt. He starts slow and he gets hurt.
I love Charles Oliveira. I always go with the jiu-jitsu guy. And I've actually been watching him before people started hopping on the bandwagon. But I actually saw him fight the first time when he fought against Paul Felder, when Paul Felder beat him.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, you know, Charles Oliveira is pretty technical. Like, he had deep choke against Paul Felder, and Paul, as tough as he is, he fought out of it. And I think he either knocked him out or submitted Charles Oliveira. I forget.
Right, I forget.
But that was in like a close round. Like, it's crazy, like how far I can remember. But you know, I wanted Justin Gaethje to win because I'm kind of a Justin Gaethje fan.
Yeah.
And yeah, I didn't really watch the main event because I was like, you know what, I want Justin Gaethje to win, so I'm not gonna watch it because I know I was wrong.
I love
but
that.
I heard that he knocked Charles down, so I wish it. You know, it's just I'm happy, but I'm also sad because I'm a huge fan of Justin as well.
Absolutely.
I always pick Charles Oliveira.
Absolutely. No, those are both good calls. They're both great fighters. I interviewed Justin in person once, face-to-face, a couple years ago, and then we also had him on the show. He's a great guy. Charles, all respect for him, but I never met him in person, so I was cheering for Justin as well. Man, he gave it a shot. You know, one thing that I was just telling my producer about, and this is something maybe you can keep in mind for your fights as well, fighters in the UFC don't seem to want to go to the ground with Charles Oliveira for obvious reasons, right? But it seems like they'll hurt him and they'll let him recover on the ground rather than going down with him because they so much don't want to go down there with him. And he always recovers. It's like I'm starting to see a pattern. He gets beat up, he gets cut, he gets knocked down, and then, like I showed my producer, he lays on the ground, squeezes his eyes, and like you could see the mechanism in his head turning, and then he opens his eyes and he's in Terminator mode. And he gets up, it just ends whoever's in front of him. It's so cool. Like I could really see it in a film.
There's a lot of memes of him just laying down with his hands behind his head.
Right, right. He's just like sitting there and he's like right into Terminator mode and gets up and all right, you're done. You know, and so I think that that's something you can keep in mind in case you're ever knocked down. If the girls don't want to go down there with you, hey, just recover and get back up and finish them. Yeah, you know what I mean? I do think, though, that the two guys that are going to look at that are going to be Oliveira's future opponents, which will be either Islam Makhachev or Beneil Dariush, and those are going to be really interesting fights because those guys have really pressure ground games. I mean, you know, I'll tell you this, and I won't keep you more than 5 more minutes here, and but I will tell you that
I'm on 3%, so I just hope my phone doesn't die.
No problem. We'll try to go 2 minutes. The guys that I appreciate it. The guys that are from Dagestan, the guys like Islam, Habib, all those guys are amazing because they grew up in the Russian Sambo system, which is submission holds with some modified striking. And not only that, but they're over there in the countryside. They're having to walk 20 miles to pick up their food. It's just really gritty, hardcore stuff. I've talked to some really good teachers and of jiu-jitsu, high level guys and people that train with them. And I said, when are we going to get our American wrestlers that are going to just knock all these guys back to Dagestan? And they said, probably never. They said, these guys are so hard. They're so strong. It's so insanely intense out there in the wilderness and the snow. and that they're like 5 years old. It's almost like they're thrown out in the snow at 5 years old to beat the crap out of each other, and and that's what it is. But wouldn't it be interesting to see if there were some women from that system that could come over? But I just don't think it exists, does it? Or does it?
You mean like from their country?
Yeah, like a Dagestan women, but I guess it's probably more of a male-oriented thing. They probably don't allow that.
Yeah, if I have to be honest, like if Charles Oliveira and Islam were to fight, I would be rooting for Charles. Just because I don't agree with their views on women. They even said they don't think women should be fighting. They're fighting a big promotion, and they don't agree with women's MMA. So, it's hard for me to support them.
Understood.
Yeah, I know Khabib made a new promotion, Eagle, and not even there's no ring girls or UFC women MMA fighters. So just there, I can't really support that.
I don't blame you. Well, just know that we definitely support women fighters and grapplers here at the MMA Power Hour.
It's hard because I acknowledge their hard work and their skill. Like, you can't say Khabib sucks. Like, no, he's phenomenal.
Yep.
Just supporting wise, I can't. So, whoever they fight, I always root for the other guy.
Don't blame him. I don't blame you. Understood. Well, Danielle Kelly, I really appreciate it. Nothing is signed as of yet for your next one competition, but it will be a grappling match, right?
Yes.
And then MMA possibly this year, or if not, early next year?
It's looking this year, most likely.
Fantastic. Well, what's the best place to support you on social media?
You can support me or follow me on Instagram at Danielle Kelly BJJ.
Awesome. Well, Danielle Kelly, we appreciate you coming on here with us on the MMA Power Hour. You are awesome. It's so great to get to know you. I'll be cheering for you going forward. Can't wait to see all the great things you accomplish.
Thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. You too. Have a great night. And that was Danielle Kelly. Very cool. Like her, Dr. Adam Roorda. She is amazing at jiu-jitsu, and it'll be interesting to see her in MMA coming up very soon for the Great One Championship.
Yeah, I'm stoked to see what happens here.
Yep. And she will probably not be cutting off her hair Rose Namajunas style.
Well,
you never know as years go by, though, right?
Yeah, you never know. You never know. All right, let's give our next guest a shot here at the Jens Pulver dance while
all right, I'll do it.
But also at the same time, before we go over there, make sure to check out Lift Tokens, lifttoken.io, cryptocurrency of choice for anybody that is into environmental social governance and also people that are into physical NFTs. We're the only ones with the actual legal right to go ahead and do a proper physical NFTs. Check it out, lifttoken.io.
That's right. I mean, who isn't into societal governance and NFTs? You got to be crazy not to be into that, right?
Societal governance.
I don't know what the hell you said. Something like that, right?
Environmental, social governance.
That's it. Environmental.
It's three things: environmental, social, and governance.
There we go. Well, we love environmental, social, and government.
It's about sustainability and ethics in business. There's a way to do it, and it should not entail the government.
No.
Hey, that's what we're all about doing. Bringing the world to a better place and making sure that you get a solid product. People do care about it. If you want to make sure there's not death or crazy stuff. There's no Epstein Islands behind the product. That's actually what we're all about, is making sure that it's all ethical. And Colin,
just like our show,
I'm going to go ahead and say, everybody that is watching, you need to check out our social media and the Hannibal TV if you're on our social media already. Hannibal the Cannibal. You ready for Are you ready for our Jens Pulver Skype dance? Let's do it. Let's do it. And Jens, we saw you doing this on a show. You like the music, and we're not trying to rip on you for no reason, but the Jens Pulver Skype dance really was this. Yeah, it was like that. Jen's much more of an athlete than me. All right. Okay. This is a question here. So maybe it's the other one? No, this is the newest. Look at how crazy I look up there. This is the one. That's the most recent one I gave you? Well, that's not good, because this is... what am I doing here looking at it? All right, let me see if I can tell him. Hey, Curtis, we're trying to Skype call you now. Are you around? Question mark. Oh, man. Trying.
Yeah. So this is this was that recent one that I gave you. Because we have an old one from 3.5 years ago.
Yeah, this is the one right here. See it?
And that's the one because I sent it to you. Yeah.
Yep.
So let me see. I'm texting him. Yeah, well, I'm going to have faith because I just believe, you know, he's a good guy.
Gotta have faith.
You got to have faith. What was that song? Faith. Oh, that was.
Yeah, that's the song.
That was the late George Michael from Wham. Man, oh man,
yeah.
God bless him. But yeah, we're gonna have have faith.
That's the only one under that name too. So.
Yeah, it is, and you know we're let me just tell him which we're trying to call him from.
Well, let's see, we tried that one. It says we have a mutual connection, so yeah. We're not doing very good at maintaining the conversation right now.
No, we're not, because I gotta. But I guess we're both trying to press something and push something. And
I'm gonna try this one. I'm gonna try this one because it says this is the one that we talked to him on previously. So
maybe he's there. You think? Okay.
Yeah, I think so.
Let's see.
Well, he's not online for one, so I can't see if it's this one or that one or. Yeah.
Man, oh man, can Hawaii get sticky?
That one says last seen a couple days ago, and then we've got the new one I tried first.
The new one, how long?
Didn't work out so well.
No, well,
so of the fights this weekend coming up, what are we looking at here?
Well, we're looking at Poland versus, where the heck is Rakic from? Can you check him? It's not Poland, but it's nearby, right? It's Poland versus Vienna. No, you know what? He is. Yeah, you're right. He's actually Serbian, but trained in Austria for quite a while. So it's a Polish national against a Serbian Austrian. What a good fight that is. Rakic has got, what, 10 years younger than Jan? Or how Jan is like not 40 yet, but he's like 38 or 9. Yeah, 39. 9-year age difference. Jan was killing it until he went up against Glover, and Glover was 3 years older than him, but Glover had the skill set to beat him, which we both called. I think that fight about Glover and that wrestling. I think this is going to be a very good fight. I mean, you know, at heavyweight at 39, you're not done. You're not done, although you're not that far away from probably being done nowadays when you can't do any TRT or anything like that. But probably Rakic wins this. You know, he's just younger. He's taller. He's I think maybe a more balanced fighter.
So you agree with the odds on that one?
And what do they have the odds?
It's about 1.5 to 1.
You know,
almost 2 to 1.
I mean, you know me. I'm an older dude. I hate going against the older guys. I love the older guys, so I'd love nothing more than seeing the 39-year-old beating the 30-year-old, just for us old guys.
I mean, they got the 30-year-old on it though. Yeah,
I think probably Rakic wins this fight, and I think he's probably a good value. If he's barely a favorite, I think he's a good value.
I mean, that's 1.5. 2 almost to 1.
How come I'm not seeing it?
Because it's not on here. I had to go to another site.
No problem. Yeah, for whatever reason why would they not on this freaking best?
They've been doing that with
they're not showing the main event odds.
Yeah,
what the hell's up with that? Right. But anyway, so that should be an exciting fight though, with definite title ramifications in the light heavyweight division. Ian Cutelaba and Ryan Spann. Also another light heavyweight fight, which should be exciting as well. Cutelaba from Moldova is a pretty good size favorite. Then you have Davey Grant against Louis Smolka. You know, Smolka is a tough guy fighting out of Team Colin Oyama. He is a training partner of Alex Perez and Carla Esparza. He's a big underdog there against Davey Grant. And
that's one I might throw $20 at.
Well,
I mean, I understand the odds on it.
But Smolka's been losing a lot of fights, man. He's a tough guy.
But if he comes around and shows up, this is one of the ones I agree with your sentiment here.
But you know, he's losing against tough guys.
Exactly.
Even though he did just get starched, and Davey Grant is tough. Davey Grant actually did lose to Yanez, barely, and Yanez has been smashing everyone. Speaking of which, we spoke with Adrian Yanez, and he was happy to do the show this week, and that was about 5 days ago, and then we were trying to get it all arranged, and then I just didn't hear anything back from him. I know a lot of these guys are literally getting hundreds, sometimes thousands of emails and messages, and so it's tough sometimes, you know,
Keep
connect
up,
with them.
yeah.
But, you know, we'll see. I mean, this is the one thing, and I don't talk too much about the organization of MMA talk shows, but, you know, we've got to try to reach out and negotiate with fighters that are super busy. A lot of people are demanding their time, and then a ton of fans are contacting them. So it's hard to just initially get a cell phone number. And so we're having sometimes to deal with people through Instagram, Facebook Messenger, and like that. And it's sometimes hard when our messages will get lost in the thousands of fan messages as well. But hopefully we hear back from Adrian and maybe get him on next week. Can we try Curtis again? Because I know he's aware that we're coming here, and
Try.
yeah.
Sky dance. Sky dance. We're trying to keep you guys entertained with our
Yeah, we
goofiness.
are. Exactly. Man, I mean, I will be, because you know what the frustrating thing is? Curtis was scheduled for last week, and we advertised him last week, and he had something come up a few hours before showtime, and he was courteous enough to let us know. But it's tough because we last second had to have our guests see that we did not get Curtis Blades when we announced him, and it would really be frustrating if we kind of end up with egg on our face 2 weeks in a row. We did a great interview with Curtis 3.5 years ago, and he's been really busy, but I really hope we can hear from him shortly, because this was confirmed and reconfirmed, and Curtis is a good communicator, and we're assured of his appearance here, and he is now officially 15 minutes late for a 35-minute interview, which is tough. Anyway, I'm not going to throw Curtis under the bus. He's a great guy, always super respectful everywhere you see him. And
yeah,
so,
who knows what's going on?
Yeah, hopefully just any minute here he'll jump on. Anyway, so looking back and looking forward. So what else do we have? So I got Span. Span and Kutalab is going to be interesting. Check Ryan Span real quick to show me what have you done for me lately is his story.
What have you done?
Yeah, what has Ryan Span done for us lately? He did lose. He did get stopped early on and quickly, looking like a fish out of water against Lionheart Anthony Smith. Before that, he beat Serkinov. Before that, he got stopped by Johnny Walker, and before that, he did get a split decision over Sam Alvey, which many people felt he lost. He's a tough guy out of Fortis MMA, but not the best fighter in the world. What is he, 30 years old now?
Yeah.
30 years old, and tall guy, 6'5". Kutalaba, though. Kutalaba is kind of a wild berserker, 6 feet even, or 6'1"? 6'1", 28 years old. And Kutalaba has been beating everyone.
Man, I mean,
he got a split draw against our guy Justin Jacoby. We've had Dustin Jacoby on the show several times. He did lose twice, getting stopped twice by Megamed Ankalaev. No shame in that. And then he beat Khalil Roundtree and just did beat Devin Clark. So this is an important fight for both guys, because they both have a fair amount of red on their ledger. The only thing is, I think the red that Kutalaba has on losing is against some better opponents than Span. Not that Lionheart Smith is not good. You know what? This is a tough one. And what do the odds have it? They've got it 2-1, or what is Kutalaba, -200 maybe?
Yeah.
I think that's legit. I think Kutalaba probably wins this fight, but I'll cheer for the American. You know, we got some American pride and being patriotic here. You know, so I'll cheer for Ryan Span. But I think probably Kutalaba is probably the A side of that one.
This is the one I want to watch.
Yeah, interesting.
So I'm tuning in for.
You know, though, what I always say against the sweet, good-natured, tall, lanky, about the sweet, good-natured, tall, lanky, blonde Caitlin Chukagian. I always say that something about Caitlin, when I bet on her, I lose, and when I bet against her, I lose. Every time. I think I've lost the last 4 out of 4 bets on Caitlin Chukagian. Anyway, let's take a look at her. She's got to be, what, 35 now? Let's see. 33. She's 5'9" at 125, which is taller than tall. She fought at 135 for a while, and didn't really get where she wanted to go, although she was winning fights. And now at 125, I think you have it in a perfect spot. She jumped into 125. I think she won a couple of fights. Lost to Valentina in a pretty dominant fashion. Came back and did beat the big sister, although less experienced and talented sister, Antonina Shevchenko. Came back and did lose with a body shot to Jessica Andrade. I called that one. She came back then and now has
call that one. I remember that.
Yeah. I really felt confident about Andrade.
Ago.
Yeah, and then she's been on a 3-fight winning streak. Cynthia Calvillo by unanimous decision, Viviane Araujo by unanimous decision, and Jennifer Maia. 3 solid opponents. And she is going up against Amanda Ribas, the very charismatic Brazilian, a little bit younger. Yeah, much younger, 5 years younger, 28 years old. She's a lot shorter. 5'4" against 5'9", although I think Ribas might be 5'5", but several inch height difference. The win coming over Virna Jandiroba. They always try to make her name sound more different. I don't know. Vina, some people call her Jandiroba, but to me, you're Virna Jandiroba. And I know that's lame. I don't know why I say that. It's just stupid. But anyway, it's easier for me to just say Virna Jandiroba. So that's what I'm going to say.
I mean, it's all right. We're stupid around here every now and then.
We're goofballs. Anyway, so Virna, and now we're back on. Okay, there we go. So she did beat Virna. She lost, got the brakes beat off her fairly quickly by Marina Rodriguez, and then was on a killing streak before then, beating Paige Van Zandt, Randa Marcos, Mackenzie Dern, Emily Whitmire, and Jennifer Gonzalez at a different organization. Anyway, this is a tough one. I mean, like I said, you know what I would recommend you guys do? When I eventually make my pick on that fight, if I do, and I may not, just go against me. I can't pick a Caitlin Chukagian fight to save my life. You know, and I just don't know.
I'm going with Ribas on this one. I really am. I think she's...
Well, but I didn't say which way I'm leaning.
I don't care.
It doesn't matter. You're going to go with me, actually? I don't know
if you're thinking Ribas, then that's where I'm going.
I just don't know. I mean, freaking the younger girl is Ribas. She's probably got maybe more. I mean, here's the weird thing about Chukagian, Adam. She's long and lanky for her weight class, just like you were for wrestling, right?
Right.
She's got some chops striking, but it's kind of a point karate style. She'll throw a lot of ki eyes. There's not a lot of power, but she's got some striking, and I think she's also a black belt under Matt Serra Longo in BJJ. So she's not afraid wherever the fight goes. But she's cutting a lot of weight, so she's always looking kind of skinny and gaunt in there. Ribas is more of the ground fighter, but she's so much shorter. I mean, you know what? I don't know. I think probably the younger girl, Ribas, but
I mean, that's the way I'm going, and she's been on the come up for a while, and she's had more schedule like that, so it does make it difficult to really gauge it.
Right. And
MMA math is not going to work in this one.
Right.
So.
And I think Ribas has the higher ceiling. I mean, even though it didn't look good, her getting the brakes beaten off her by Marina Rodriguez, although Rodriguez is a beast. But Chukagian looked so bad against Bullet Valentina Shevchenko. Could she do better next time if she gets a chance? Maybe, but I don't see her beating Valentina at any time, so she may be kind of at the height of her career, whereas at 28, if somehow Ribas can look dominant here against Chukagian, then maybe she'll be back in the picture. She's tough and talented.
Yeah.
So, you know, but yeah, be very careful, because like I said, whatever I pick in a Caitlin Chukagian fight.
Okay, so you're picking Caitlin, I'm picking Ribas. Okay.
Well, I thought I was picking Ribas just then. I don't know. I don't know what to do. I think Ribas. What are the odds, though? The odds should be like even.
No, they aren't.
They're not?
No, they're not that far off, but about 1.5.
No, it's almost 2-1 Chukagian.
Yeah.
Then yeah, for sure Ribas. Because I like to lose. I don't know. I don't like to lose. There's value in Hebos. You don't know what Chikagian's going to do. I mean, probably she's going to use her length and befuddle Hebos the whole time. I mean, you know, but then again, Hebos is going to trust. I don't know. That one, it's so tough. But there's value in Hebos. I don't know. Caitlin is big.
Oh, well, we know you don't know. You've said that I don't know how many times.
Exactly. Caitlin is tough, and there's that. So let me just say she's tough. So then we have
Frank Camacho.
Yeah, I just skipped that one for now.
What about
Hadley? And no one even knows them. There's the next one.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that.
Araujo against Andrea Lee. Let's pull up. Okay, Andrea Lee's 33.
Mm-hmm.
She's tall. She's been around. She's had a lot of fights. Look what she's. Araujo is 35.
2 years older
2 years old.
An inch shorter.
10-3. So let's look at the last couple of fights for Araujo. Araujo has been in the UFC for a minute. She beat Talita Bernardo and Alexis Davis. She lost to Jessica Ai. She beat Montana De La Rosa, Roxanne Modafferi, and just lost to Caitlin Chookagian. And let's look at Andrea Lee. Andrea Lee recently has beat Cynthia Calvillo in impressive fashion, beat Antonina Shevchenko, stopping both women. She had a 3-fight losing streak, although she was arguably in all of those fights. In fact, 2 were split decisions.
Mm-hmm.
She lost to Roxanne Modafferi in a unanimous split against Lauren Murphy, split against Joanne Wood, also known as Joanne Calderwood. She beat Montana De La Rosa and Ashley Evans-Smith. You know, I mean, this is a really tough fight here. I don't know. I think probably Araujo wins. And what do the odds makers think?
Yeah, they've got Araujo.
Really close.
It's close.
It's almost a pick 'em. I think that
it is a pick 'em.
They have more odds makers have a slight favorite in Lee. So Lee is a slight favorite, although in some sports books she's a pick 'em. I wouldn't go heavy on that at all. Vivian Araujo, though, I think has it. Angela Hill against Verna Jandiroba. You know what I'm noticing? They put the cowboy fight that fell off last week with Joe Lozon on Saturday's card. Interesting. Cowboy was sick, and now he's not sick.
This really tells me we might be onto something with what we were talking about last week.
What, the retirement?
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, it obviously shows that probably the illness may have had something to do with the weight cut. Sometimes they will say illness, and in reality, the levels are dangerously low of something from the weight cut, and so that might have been it. So, Cowboy, once again, about 2-1 favorite, and I say he wins this. I'd love to see both men do well. I'd love to see both men retire together after the
and I wouldn't be surprised.
that fight. That would be awesome.
A feeling.
Well, I think Dana has probably pushed them to do that. I know Dana didn't want Joe Lozon fighting after his victory in Boston almost 4 years ago, because I was there and I talked to Dana afterwards.
Same thing with
and he really doesn't want Cowboy fighting anymore either. So that'd be interesting, wouldn't it? It would kind of tie those two legends together forever.
Right.
They retired in the cage together. Afterward.
Going above and beyond.
That would be super, super cool.
So what about this Friday? Let's get off that UFC card, because the other ones, quite frankly, I don't care about the rest of them.
Right.
We have a couple here that I'm really excited for.
Yeah.
Fabian Edwards.
The brother of Leon. Very, very tough guy, talented guy. Lyoto Machida. So Machida has been fighting more at light heavyweight, but Fabian Edwards was fighting at middleweight. So I'd like to know, is this a middleweight or a light heavyweight fight? If it's not, it's probably not going to tell us anywhere. I don't think it will.
Yeah, it will.
Yeah,
it will. Give me a second.
All right, because if it's middleweight, it's going to be hard for Machida to make. It is middleweight. That's going to be a hard cut at like 40 years old. Or he's like 42, isn't he? Can you click on Lyoto for me? The Dragon Machida is 43 years old. His last few fights, take a look. He did not look good against Ryan Bader, but he went the distance. He lost a split decision to Phil Davis and a split decision to Gegard Mousasi. Those aren't bad losses. And Bader was at light heavyweight. So now he's back down at middleweight. Let's take a look at Fabian Edwards.
All right.
Many people feel the lesser talented of the Edwards brothers, but he's also 4 years younger, I think. So he may turn out to be the more talented. But he did just recently have a win, didn't he? A loss, Fabian. He's coming off 2 losses against Austin Vanderford, who is very tough in a decision, and he lost a split decision to Costello Van Steenis. And then he was on like a 6-fight winning streak before that. I think the young man from England, Fabian Edwards, has just got too much youth and fire and determination this fight. Not only that, but
this could be a passing of the torch, though.
I think it will be. Not only that, but you know what they're probably saying to Fabian in his corner, and I don't know his corner, but something like, if you can't beat a 43-year-old Lyoto Machida, then what the hell are we doing here? What's the point? You know, so
what about this main?
There we go. That is very interesting.
Exciting.
And I'll tell you what. Michael Venom Page is usually anywhere from a 3-1 to a 15-1 favorite when he fights. The only time he hasn't been is in, I think, the first fight against Douglas Lima, like 7 years ago, where he lost. He was a slight favorite. The second fight to Douglas Lima, where he won, he was a slight underdog. But they're making him 3-1 underdog. But Logan Storley is a killer. Logan Storley is over there training with guys like Gilbert Burns and all the killers over there at Sanford MMA. He is a beast. He lost a split decision to the man that I think is the current current Dynamo. What weight is? No, he's I think that is the current champ. Yeah, Amasov. And Storley was right in there with him. So here's what's interesting about this fight, ladies and gentlemen, if you don't know Bellator, and also for Dr. Adam Roorda, who knows, but I'll even flesh out some more information, is you go to Storley. He is a grappler, but he's got some hands and he's got some jiu-jitsu. Michael Venom Page has literally been called like the Israel Adesanya of Bellator.
Right.
He's a weight division lower, so he's a little bit shorter, but he's taller than everyone he fights. His striking is so good, it's hard to take him down. And if you don't take him down, he just beats the brakes off you. Mm-hmm. So this is an interesting fight because he's live. I've never seen Michael Venom Page be like plus 260, plus 280. It's almost never, but that's what he is. Plus 230, all right, 240, 250. So a lot of people in England, I think, are going to bet Michael Page, because if this fight stays up, if this fight stays on the feet, Venom could just take this guy out any second. But Storley is so tough, and Sanford MMA has such a great team. I'm excited to see that fight. I haven't watched a Bellator for a short while, but I'm going to make sure I can watch that fight. Maybe Dr. Adam Roorda and I watch that one together. We haven't done that for a little while, so
I'm not around this week.
That's true. Well, maybe we won't. We'll watch the next one, or we'll watch it after the fact. But that's going to be a really good fight, and I do think Michael Venom Page is a live dog in that fight. I don't know that he'll win because it's been kind of the year of the wrestler to an extent so far. But in any case, that's going to be a really, really good fight, and the winner should get Amasov for the title. In fact, I would believe for sure this is a title eliminator fight. But you know what? Can you go look at it's going to be 3 rounds. The only things they do, or can you look and see if that looks like it's scheduled for 3 or 5? Take a look and see. Does it show anything right there?
Does not.
Because it seems like in Bellator, the title fights are 5, but otherwise the main events are 3. Whereas with UFC, the main event and title fight are 5, with the only exception being if the main event was a co-main and got bumped up because the main event fell off, then sometimes they'll keep that as 3 because that's all those 2 fighters trained for and agreed upon was 3. But other than that, it's always going to be 3. I mean, I would think it really should be 5 for a main event. But I guess if there's nowhere to click to see, and it's not, you can't click into it. Anyway, But that's going to be a really, really good fight, though. Bellator is having some very good fights and some really good fights.
I'm going to go with, I'm going to go with our man Storley, and that's who I'm going to go with on this one.
The American,
I'm going to go with the odds makers.
Yeah.
You know what? MVP is great. I really shouldn't take that pick. I'm going to, though.
It'd be interesting to see if Israel Adesanya, if he picks Bellator's version of him in Michael Page, or if
I'll be watching. I'll see. That might make my decision for me before then.
See if you can find out who Izzy picks. But then again, being that he's contracted with the UFC, when he does his picks, I don't know that he ever picks Bellator.
Right.
Although I wouldn't think UFC would care.
Well, hey, Colin, it's been another amazing episode. I know we didn't have the opportunity to have our second guest come on.
2 weeks in a row. Last week he at least told us, but he told us 3 hours before the show. But that's better than being a no-show.
That's better than being a no-show. Something probably came up today.
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is.
It is what it is. All right. Well, hey, Colin, you know what? Thank you again for another amazing episode. Everybody out there tuning in, watching. I see quite a few of you there. Go ahead and drop us a line on our social media. It's at MMA Power Hour. Appreciate the comments here, you guys. We'll be bringing you more guests next week. And yeah, it says at MMA Power Hour. And if you're on our social media right now watching, head on over to the Hannibal TV. Make sure to click subscribe and stop by every Tuesday night, 6 p.m. Pacific time. That's 9 p.m. Eastern, and I'm not going to spell the in-between. So
no, and normally our guests will show up. We have a high percentage of guests that do show up, and but once in a blue moon something happens, and
it happens. All right, well, hey, Colin, thank you so much. I'm gonna call it a night for myself. I'm gonna pass it over to you real quick. I'll let you do you.
Sounds good. Thank you, Dr. Adam Roorda. Thank you so much to our guests that did show up. Danielle Kelly, we really appreciate it. Good getting to know you. 26-year-old woman. I think her ceiling is super high. She's Philadelphia tough over there. I was going to actually ask her about cheesesteaks and hoagies. That's the only thing that I forgot about. Although, more than likely, being a petite woman, she probably wasn't eating as many cheesesteaks and hoagies, and especially nowadays as a professional athlete, probably isn't. So she may not have had the answer there, you know. But what do they say? If you want to find cheesesteaks and hoagie experts, talk to the guys with the big pot bellies over there, not a 115-pound fighting professional woman combat athlete. So maybe it's okay that I didn't ask. But anyway, Danielle Kelly, big respect for you, and definitely appreciate getting to know you and talking to you. We love Curtis Blades. He did promise to be here. Something came up, and he couldn't make it. And we'll get it figured out maybe on next week's show. But we'll talk about that, and we'll talk to him. That's about it, ladies and gentlemen. Appreciate you so much. Go out there and spread the love in a positive way. Be that guy, be that girl. Take good care of your pets. They need the care when it's cold. Make sure they're warm and comfortable. When it's hot, make sure they have a cool place, cold water. Walk your dog whenever he or she needs it. Cat litter, keep it clean. And let someone know you love them that you haven't talked to for a while. Treat yourself with love. You deserve it. Big love and respect from me to you. Appreciate you and the entire MMA Power Hour team. And tonight, I am tapping out.